AA Best Bail Bonds big game coverage live from Miami.
It's the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM on the go at ESPNSA.com. Wherever you are, boy, you should be happy you're dialed in right now because your AA Best Bail Bonds radio row coverage continues live from Miami Beach with one of our new brethren. Jason Fitz, you know from Perry, of course, but now...
The band Perry.
Yes.
And now ESPN.
Yeah,
now
ESPN. You got a real gig now.
Well, that's what I like. You know what? First of all, let's just start with the most important thing. When everywhere that we've been going and talking to people today, I've been laughing, saying, I think I have a country music story about that. Can we just acknowledge that the San Antonio Rodeo is absolutely alarmingly incredible, by the way? And it was stunning the first time I ever played it in any. I actually was before I played for the band Perry. I played the San Antonio Rodeo. I think it was with Easton Corbin. I played one time. We played the rodeo. And I'll never forget, I had a keyboard on stage. I was playing fiddle and keys for him. And I had a keyboard on stage, and it stopped working after that show. And so I had to send it back to the manufacturer. I'm like, the keyboard's not working. They take it apart, and they're like, well, you've got dirt in this thing. Like, you can't put this thing near dirt. And I said, y'all, like, I play country music. We play rodeos. We're going to be near dirt. Like, that's a design flaw. So the San Antonio Rodeo, near and dear to my heart.
Especially that rodeo, because you get on that stage and it starts spinning in the dirt.
That there is nothing. And then, so, fast forward with the band Perry, and anyone that ever saw us in concert may remember that we started, for the last couple of years I was with them, we always started or ended shows with a song called Done. And we would go out to the edge of the stage. We get in one formal line, and we would jump up and down. Now, you're jumping up and down while you play the hardest fiddle solo I've ever played in my life. Some nights it was good, some nights it wasn't. But the funny thing is, the stage starts rotating while you're jumping up and down. I am not athletic enough to do that. I was just glad I didn't fall half the time, and I'm thinking, good Lord, y'all, like, can we hold the stage in this spot while I jump and then start moving it again? But the answer is no.
The answer is no, but that's good practice for your life in radio now, because it's always like playing the fiddle on a spinning stage.
Y'all are right about that. You are. There is no doubt about that.
You get Jason right here on ESPN San Antonio every day at noon. The debut of First Take Your Take just a couple weeks back. Man, you're killing it. It is I've never heard or seen a show like this one.
Well, and thank you. And I think that's what's most exciting about it, right? Like, to me, we're taking the Stephen A. Max debates. We're going to replay a little bit of it, so if you didn't watch First Take, you get caught up. But then everything from there goes about energy and interaction. So we'll bring a guest on, but instead of having them for 12 minutes or 10 minutes, we get them for 3 or 4. So 2 questions and get out of my way. And then at that point, it's about calls and tweets. We take the biggest interaction, the biggest topic from First Take, and we get everybody involved in it. So instead of yelling at your TV and yelling at Stephen A., you get to yell at us. And I think that's the coolest part about it, is it becomes a real interaction with fans and a real opportunity to connect together on the biggest arguments of the day.
That's how I know this, because the interaction is popping. The calls have doubled. They commonly will call the local station thinking that's how they're going to get to you. We're getting them for you in our studio. So
our producer Pleasure's not really thrilled.
James Pleasure doesn't love you.
Well, drinks on me next time. That's the only way I know how to.
There you go. Rodeo's next week. We'll see you down there.
Whiskey's the only way I know how to say thank you. So, the next bottle's on me. That's all I can do.
One of the great things about guys that come from other parts of life and step into radio is you bring another part of life into the game, into the show. How does the music business translate in, not so much about sports, but about the communication and the relationship with the listeners and the fans?
I think the craziest thing about sports talk and the country music is they're one and the same. Like, when you start making it in a band, you'll see people that come out to 50, 60, 70 shows. And that sounds alarming. Some people think I'm making that up, but it's all the time. They're
called groupies.
They're called loyal fans.
Yes.
But you get to the point where
I've seen Metallica 19 times, I guess. Yeah.
I never learned that lifestyle of it. I mean, the band Perry, certainly, we were the cake and ice cream tour. So, there's no doubt about that. But, you start talking about, 85, 90 shows, and it's because they invest. They invest in the music you're making, and you invest in them, right? Like, that's this connection. That's what sports talk is, too. Like, you get this connection with people where you get the opportunity to turn around and really have a relationship with people, whether it's through Twitter or whether it's through calls. You get a relationship. And then radio, everything. I mean, I've said this. I've never had a career that wasn't fan-supported and radio-supported. And that means that it took a fan deciding they wanted to buy my music, and it took a radio station deciding they want to play my music. music. And now, as you turn around and look at where we are now, like with a show with my name on it every afternoon on First Take Your Take with me, that's an opportunity for radio stations. Again, they have to turn around and say, hey, we're going to carry this. And fans have to turn around and say, hey, we give a darn about this. And that's an incredibly humbling thing, because no matter how much you work, when you put yourself out there, you're afraid. There's a natural fear that you put yourself out there and somebody's going to say, this guy stinks. And then what happens? Right? So I don't know. To me, the similarities are real, and it's just humbling the entire way to think that I've been able to live through the entertainment business in some capacity for so long and fan supported.
It's interesting because you think about country bands and radio play. Before I was doing sports, I was doing Americana music, and that Texas country, a lot of those guys weren't getting radio play on the big country, mainstream bubblegum country is what I call it, stations. Guys like Pat Green have crossed over, Jack Ingram, Corey Morrow to a degree, but Bruce Robinson, his music might be getting played on those big country stations, but sung by somebody else,
right?
Not Bruce singing it. And that they would always talk about, I don't know why country radio won't play our stuff, because they don't have the big labels pushing it.
Well, and that's one difference in sports, right? Like, now I say that, but maybe, like, to be honest, like, maybe I'm just lucky that I'm on the big label. I mean, that's what ESPN is,
yep.
And for me, the goal was never, it's funny, I started as a podcast. We were on the road. I did 300 shows or 300 days I was gone on the road, our busiest year. I came home to my wife and I said, man, I'm thankful to do this. I'm humbled to do this. I'm good at what I do. I don't love it. And she said, if I asked 100 of your friends what you really love, what's the answer? I said, sports. She said, fine, talk about sports. So I sat in my car and I did a podcast because I felt like an idiot. I launched it, and it was like the drug I'd been missing in my life. So I ripped everything apart. I built business plans. I networked. I grinded. I tried to get better, and I built something from the ground up. But I never built with the intention of wanting to be a podcast that made it. From day one, it was, I want to be on ESPN. That was my goal. So maybe having that big label support has been the big difference.
And the big country stuff, and I know where you're talking about with the sports. True story, a few years ago we were in Atlanta at a big broadcaster convention. You guys, the band Perry, played at 10 a.m. and we're all drinking mimosas, and then you're networking. It's all the radio people, and you and I were talking sports.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm talking to the dude from, I wanted to talk music, and you just wanted to talk sports.
Well, and it's funny how...
And you had all these country radio stations that want to talk to you. You didn't give a damn about them.
No, I mean, there was a spot for me where once it hit, like, it just hit my, like, as cheesy as this, I'll be cheesy for a moment. Once the sports stuff hit, it just hit my soul in such a real way. I was like, I don't care about anything else. I want this. And I remember we were in Norway, of all things, doing a country show. We were in Europe for about 5 weeks. I was in a coffee shop in Norway yelling into a mic about the Packers. And I put my podcast up that week. 12 people listened total. I had 12 listens. And our drummer at the time was like, man, why are you wasting so much energy? And I said, man, none of this is a waste, because every day is my demo. It's my chance to get better. Every week with these shows, it's my chance to get better. B, this feeds my soul. And when it feeds your soul, you do it. And so, for me to even then to acknowledge it and recognize it, it's funny how many people at the time thought it was crazy that are now texting me and they're like, oh, man, how do I do what you've done? How do I make that change over? How do It's like life's about finding your passion and then hoping that people follow you through with it.
Well, congratulations on that. And you've been on my station from now. You're on at noon, and I used to listen to you on the way home with Spain and Fitz. You've been part of my radio life as a program director and as a fan, and to get you and to watch the growth, quite frankly, to watch what you were doing with Spain and Fitz, which was great. But now to see this radical change in what is a radical different format, and you've fallen into it like duck to water, man. It feels like this was what you were meant to do. It's a testament to your effort. It really is.
Thanks. And ESPN's given me a lot of different opportunities. Every different show, whether it was Spain and Fitz or Go Lick and Wingo or now First Take Your Take, every single time I've looked at it and thought, how do I be the most authentic version of myself? How do I bring my energy, my personality to it? But then how do I serve what that audience wants for that show? And that's very different for Spain and Fitz at night leading into games than it is to Go Lick and Wingo when you're in a bad mood and you're driving in the morning, or First Take Your Take where we're trying to get people interactive. But if I can be real through all of that, then, man, I'm just, like, as cheesy and coach speak as it sounds, trying to get better every day. And I think that's what people have resonated to, and I think that's what people feel, and that's ultimately the biggest equity we all have is the people that decide to listen to what we do.
And you'll always be in a better mood when you're not driving in at 4 a.m. for Go Lick and Wingo, when you're going in at 8 a.m.
I feel guilty now when it's 10 p.m. and I'm not in bed, and I'm like, wait, I don't have to go to bed yet.
All right. Before, and for those watching on Facebook Live, or you see the videos later, you got your sleeves rolled up. I'm curious, man. You're running out of skin, but it looks like you've got every highlight moment tattooed somewhere.
Yeah. So the right arm is everywhere I've ever lived in my life, and the moments I'm proudest of in my career.
Okay.
So everything I wanted to do, and this is my humble brag story. The first time we played Letterman in my life, I bought a hoodie because it was very cold. I went on tour the next day. I think we were out with the Rascal Flatts. The next day, I was wearing the hoodie on tour, and one of the band guys from another band made fun of me. And it's like, oh, I remember when I did it. And I thought, it's like too cool for school thing. And it hit me then that you work your whole life, you sacrifice everything, you're away from your family for what? Like, I want to appreciate the accomplishment. So I started making a list of all the things, and then I waited, and I finally went in and got it done. So the skyline is all the buildings from different places I've lived, and then like from the Super Bowls to American Music Awards and Dick Clark, and all of the things go up, and then even on the back is ESPNU, because the first TV show I ever had was on ESPNU. So as I accomplish things in life, I put them here because when it's all said and done, I want to be able to look around and say, hey, I did it.
Well, I got to be honest. I look down and I'm seeing my name on your arm, and I know that's your name too. But yeah, well, no, it says Jason.
My left arm is my wedding invite, so it says Ivy Wed, my wife's name, my name, and my anniversary.
But you were just holding it there, and my name was tattooed, and I'm like, damn, you're fast. Well, you got a good guy. In the back.
It's a henna thing. Like they asked when we started the show, they're like, what kind of merch do you want? I was like, we should get temporary tattoos.
Yeah,
we can send everybody. Kids will love that. It's great. Oh my God.
I think you've got giveaways. I see a potential.
I do have
here.
stickers. I'm giving you guys stickers.
Nice.
Look at that. We're just giving stickers out.
Jason Fitz, it is a pleasure to watch what is becoming Sports Talk Radio, and I do believe what you're doing is really on that cutting edge, and to watch you do it with just a plum. You're a smooth into there, and it's impressive, my friend. It certainly is impressive. There's a skill set that you have that is innate, and then what you had to pick up, you did on a rather remarkable level. Great job, man. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Watching the growth of this stuff.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody that takes the time to listen. I really appreciate you guys.
I want to know, what is the toughest fiddle song you could play? What's the one that you go, if I can get there? When you were young, like if I could.
Oh well, I was a classical music kid when I was a kid. So Paganini Caprices when I was a kid. The 24th Caprice was always the toughest to execute. That just was not my right hand. Sometimes failed on me a little bit with that. My bow hand, getting all technical here. But some of that stuff when I was a kid was the toughest to actually execute. I will say that, and I don't say it just because of the man Perry. Like the fiddle solo to Done. is truly it's a beast. Like if I had to pick up a violin today, I could play If I Die Young without even thinking about it. But if I had to play, and I could play Better Dig too without thinking about it, but Done, and I'd need a half an hour in a room to workshop how to get my hands to move that way again.
Jason Fitz live on the Blitz tomorrow. You'll catch him at noon live on ESPN San Antonio. It's a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.